Well, I have to say, for 18 US dollars, I'm impressed. Crisol Theater of Idols. I didn't expect to play that type of game, and then it's from a developer that I'm not familiar with, but I got attracted to it because of one single production, and that is Blumhouse. Okay, so because I'm familiar with Blumhouse and all the different horror films that that they have been a part of, plenty that even some people are even unaware of unless you go to their page and look it up, and then you'll see, oh, this is what they were a part of. So, and the fact that they're part of this whole bring like games and everything like that, I was impressed by it because it does have that independent horror feel that you're just watching a film, but it's in a game, and it's more combat focused than it is narrative driven. And that is one of the reasons that I actually am setting aside that game. I'm not going to stream that game live anymore because I finished it yesterday because I've been sick with a cold anyway. So there's a reason I'm doing this video, and it's because of that. I decided to finish that game on my own, as well as bring forth the fact that, you know, I'm going to be focusing on other games this month that have caught my attention and is bringing more energy to me to want to play them live, because I realize certain games, I get bored with them really fast, and I am a person who likes more narrative driven games. Even though Crisol has a good narrative, it's just too short, and it's laid out in a way that is not keeping my attention, especially when I'm live and stuff. So if I want to be more focused on the combat and not the story of the game, I'll play it on my own, because on my own, I barely focused on the narrative itself and actually focused on the gameplay of it, which the gameplay of that game is addicting here. Now, I'm trying to stick to a structure with this game. So, yeah, that's the main reason. It's because of the narrative structure of the game that has deterred me from actually playing it live. So, I'm going to be playing games that pique my interest more, and I'm going to tell you at the end of this video what games I'm planning to play this month that have piqued my interest entirely, and it's like no waiver from it in the first place. So, I've considered the health of my stream along in the process, my entire gaming channel as a whole. Noah said I wouldn't be doing content anymore like this where I'm making videos, but for this I am, because I feel bad when I don't finish a game live, that it's like a failure. But I'm just doing this to let kind of put ease to myself, to let you know that I did finish the game and I like it, and I recommend it. I recommend it to people who like these types of games where it plays like Resident Evil. I noticed as I was playing it that it plays a lot like Resident Evil. There's some good parts to this game, and there's parts that are kind of like, you know what, it can deter you a lot. So I decided to play the game, and I recorded some gameplay. I actually recorded like a good portion of the gameplay and stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you, the combat is fun, the puzzles not so much, even though some of them could be really easy, but there's ones that are very challenging on its own. Like, I couldn't even figure that out. But the thing is about this game, Crisol, is the fact that it reminds me of several different games. One of them being the narrative structure of BioShock. BioShock was very linear storytelling, which fell alongside with the structure of the entire gameplay being linear. So it's like you're moving forward, and the story progresses with the game as you move along. Very limited cutscenes and stuff like that. So it's not so cinematically driven, even though it's Blumhouse. I'm surprised that they did not make it more cinematic, but then again, look at the price you're paying for that game in the first place. It's like, okay, there had to be cut cost. I mean, a lot, even the NPCs in the game all were dressed the same and had the same build regardless of being man or woman. So it told me, okay, this is a lot of budget cuts, but it worked fine because of the fact of the combat in the game that makes it interesting. And that's the thing about it right there. The combat is like a mix of Bloodborne, because anyone who's played Bloodborne, there's some weapons in that game, including your firearm. If you need extra Quicksilver bullets, you use your own blood and it takes down your health bar. Some weapons that require the more heavy, like blood attack, does require your blood as well. There's certain weapons that do that. Those are some of the weapons that you would not want to get, and From Software is known for that, to create at least a couple of weapons that take down your HP bar, but via using your blood. So that's how I related that, because in the entire game, to use your firearm, you have to create ammo from your own blood. Okay. So you're draining your health bar as you have to defend yourself. So it's a type of game that you have to really balance between running or actually, taking on the combat. And that really just depends on the difficulty setting that you chose for the game, which does have difficulty sliders. There's nothing wrong with that. Another thing, it is heavily influenced by Resident Evil, not the originals. I mean the current ones that are out to this day, the newer ones, the newer combat systems. One of them being the Biohazard and Village, because of the first person, and also RE4, Resident Evil 4. The fact that you have to decide on whether you're good at getting headshots, or you're gonna have to like maim the enemies by via shooting them in the legs. At this point, this game emphasis on you shooting the legs, so they could fall over and all they do is crawl after you, which will slow their attacks. Because if you get swarmed by a bunch of these dull enemies, you're gonna lose your health bar, along with, you need your health bar to be able to produce ammo. So you have to be more strategic with your engagement with the game as you progress different levels. Another thing is, it's like the whole aesthetic of the environment reminds me of Resident Evil 4, especially in the seaside town. So that's why, and not to mention, the setting is in Spain. Both RE4 and Crisol are set in Spain. I think that's what I remember in terms of RE4 right there. So it's heavily influenced by that, and the fact that in Crisol it takes the whole knife method, where you have a durability and the knife loses its effectiveness to be able to do melee attacks in Pari. I could not land a Pari whatsoever in Crisol. I think that's just something very janky and not worth pursuing. I can understand why people even avoided that entirely. So it's heavily influenced by Resident Evil, both the environment aesthetically and the combat as well. And of course, there's the puzzles, some more challenging than others. And really, a good portion of them, I was like, I'm just going to look this up. I could not figure it out whatsoever. And then some were so easy, like weight scale and light shows and all that stuff, and it was totally fine. I think there's a difficulty slider anyway for the puzzles, and I noticed that it's like the new concept is to put a difficulty slider for the puzzles based on how analytical you are and how much you enjoy puzzles. Sometimes with me I enjoy them, other days I don't, and that's for sure. So the combat in this game is the reason why I kept playing. It is addicting in its own way and the weapons, the firearms, are very responsive. I had a good time using the sniper rifle. A lot of the times it did save my behind more than once. And there's the shotgun, but it all those weapons that do a lot more damage, they require more of your blood, meaning decreasing your health bar a lot more significantly. Not to mention, you're given a harpoon gun towards the end of the game when you face off against the final boss. And that one was slow enough to basically you could just run around the court. But the problem is because you're given limited blood resources and you have to, and that harpoon gun required so much of your blood to even use, and it would be only one. And literally, I was at a point where it was like I had half of the health bar left and one more shot, and I made that shot, and thankfully it enacted the ending cutscene of the game, and it ended up being okay, end of story. Now, in terms of the story, there is plot twists with this one. I didn't expect this one, but then again, I should have expected it because of the fact that Gabriel has like these really weird powers that uses blood. But turns out, Gabriel is just the human form of the sun god, and there's this whole twist to it in the first place with him sacrificing his own son. Very much biblical, okay? So now, like I said before, the story is decent, but it's set up like BioShock, and those are the things that kind of deterred me along the way, and it lacked the cinema experience that I usually enjoy in a lot of different games. But this one, yeah, it didn't catch me. And unfortunately, I didn't care enough about the story, which is sad in a way because it is a retelling of certain stories already kind of out there. But the problem is, I'm like, because of that, I couldn't enjoy it live as much. So I focused more on the terror of being chased around by Dolores all over the place. And didn't even know that thing could actually reach into your safety area and grab you, pull you out, and just throw you around like a rag doll. So it was an interesting, fun experience. So, but the combat definitely made up for it. It has the bones of Resident Evil, that's for certain. And I'm reading from my list of things so I don't miss out on what I'm supposed to say. So now that I've finished Crisol on my own, I know a couple of people in my circle who would actually enjoy this game because they do like to take up challenges, and I definitely would imagine them sliding that difficulty slider all the way to its difficult max and just go at that game like it's crazy. But it's only $18. I think it's well worth the money to spend to have a good time with the combat and all that stuff. I mean, some people would like the story. I think the puzzles will deter people a little bit, but I think having that feeling like you're entering a smaller, shorter version of a Resident Evil game, basically the bones of it would actually enjoy this game, especially if they like the newer Resident Evil 4 with its combat mechanics. Definitely they will enjoy this game, and it will feel like RE4 to them, just from a different developer and a whole different horror theme to it in the first place. Now, the reason why I did this game officially is because, and not do it on Thursdays anymore, because this Thursday I'm going to be playing Resident Evil Requiem. And that is one of the games of this month that is already released that I look forward and I'm interested in playing because I know the franchise is very narrative driven, and it will give me that cinematic experience that I like in those types of games because I am very story driven. If I love the story and it's offering me a lot to experience, I will play the game, and I'll play it all the way to the end through live instead of just trying to get through it on my own personally. At this rate, I'm going to be playing RE9, and then I'll be playing Fatal Frame Crimson Butterfly because that's going to release also. And of course, on Fridays, I play the Life is Strange franchise. So if you have availability for Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can join me as I play Resident Evil Requiem and get to play as Grace Ashford. I don't even know. What is her last name? This is how bad I am as a fan of Resident Evil. I'm not really a fan, but I'm just like, I appreciate those games for what they are, and they do tell very good stories, and I've had nothing but good experiences from them when I have when I'm not screaming out of my freaking mind because I get adrenaline rush really quickly and my blood pressure goes up like sky high, especially through scary situations. So I look forward to seeing you all there, and thank you for watching, and you all have a good rest of your week. Bye.